Welcome, everybody. It is now week 3 of the NFL season, which means it is now week 3 of R2 F2 Prognostication. I'm Robbie Russell, as always. And before we waste any more time, let me get right into it and start with the quarterbacks. There's no other quarterback that's higher on my list this week than Matthew Stafford. Washington Redskins defense has given up an average of 341 yards so far this season, and they have yet to come up with an interception. Now, granted, I understand last week was against one of the best quarterbacks in the game, Aaron Rodgers. But look here, the bottom line is the Washington Redskins defense is just atrocious against the pass. They're not that great against the run either, as I'll get to in a little bit. They were one of the worst pass defenses last year. They didn't make many moves to improve that pass defense in the offseason, as I stated earlier this year. And Stafford has one of, if not the best receivers in the game today. Stafford puts up at least 25 or more points this week. I'd even go as high as probably 29, 30 points. The only two quarterbacks that you should start over Stafford is Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, which means, yes, you heard correctly, start Stafford over Breeze and Brady. Another quarterback is a bit of a surprise, and I like his matchup this week, and I like the chemistry he's got with his team, and that's Phillip Rivers. No, as I mentioned, no other quarterback has probably surprised people more this season than Rivers. In most leagues, he's probably in the top 5, top 6 at the quarterback position in fantasy. Mike McCoy brings his new offense into San Diego, and it seems to be clicking with Phillip Rivers. Now, this week, the Chargers draw the Titans, and although the Titans rank 11th against the pass, don't let that scare you. I mean, I don't see the Titans stopping the Eddie Royal and Phillip Rivers show. He's found great chemistry with Eddie Royal. He should be off the waiver wire by now in everybody's league. If not, you need to go get him ASAP. But the thing that I really liked about Rivers last week was they used that running back that they got from New England, Danny Woodhead. I drafted this guy in quite a few of my leagues. I was high on him before the season started, and last week he caught 8 passes. Hopefully that starts the momentum, gets it going, and that's where Danny Woodhead excels at. That's what he did in New England. Caught passes, ran downfield with the ball. With the combo of Woodhead, Eddie Royal, then you got Gates and Vincent Brown with Ryan Matthews, I see Phillip Rivers at least with 22 or more points this Sunday. One quarterback that I'm not so high on this week takes center stage tomorrow night, and that's Michael Vick of the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. Andy Reid and defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Bob Sutton, really have this Chiefs defense working. And you know Andy Reid, returning to Philadelphia, will love nothing better than to shut Michael Vick down. He worked with Michael Vick, obviously, in Philly, so he knows his weaknesses, knows his strong points. The only savior I see helping Michael Vick in fantasy this week is Deshaun Jackson with his speed. The Chiefs do not have that fast corner that can keep up with Deshaun Jackson. I'm not saying the Chiefs' corners are slow. I'm just saying Deshaun Jackson is one of the fastest wide receivers in the league. I don't see many, people keep up with them, but really in a foot race, Deshaun leaves them. Bottom line. I see the Chiefs double teaming him and making Vic throw the ball to one of his other non-explosive weapons, unless it's McCoy. If they double team Deshaun, I just don't see Vic having, at best, a mediocre night. As I mentioned, I touch on the Washington Redskins rush defense. Running backs I love are Joe Bell and Reggie Bush. And let me first start by saying that you Reggie Bush owners need to keep an extreme close eye on Reggie Bush. whether he practices up to game time if he plays. If he plays, he's going to reward you nicely against the worst rushing defense right now in the National Football League. And speaking of Reggie, the only thing that's really kept him from being the highest scoring running back this year is the fact of these minor injuries. You know, week 1 was I think dislocated finger, sprained finger, something like that. And now last week he bangs his knee on a helmet and leaves. Thank God he's got no structural damage because, again, I've drafted him in a few leagues. But then here comes Joique Bell. For all you Joique Bell owners, this guy, if he starts, plays, if Reggie doesn't play, Bell puts up top 5 numbers, guaranteed. Bell can do it all that Reggie does. He can pass block, which I know we don't get points for, but it gets the player on the field, even in third down passing situations. He can catch, he can run. He may not be as fast as Reggie Bush, but against a weak Washington Redskins defense, as I've said numerous times, they have nobody. Bush or Bell will shine. Jason Snelling. This guy's interesting for this week. You know, Steven Jackson, he's out in Atlanta for 3 to 4 weeks. So the Falcons are going to turn to a committee on Sunday and for the remaining of those 3 to 4 weeks. But this Sunday they get the Dolphins, and I think it's Snelling who you can sneak into your lineup as a running back 2 in your PPR leagues. And if you're in a standard league, you can put him in as a flex, and I think he'll reward nicely. Jacquizz Rodgers just hasn't had that, the momentum to get going. Last week he had 19 yards on 11 carries. Here comes Snelling in the game. 19 yards on 2 carries with a touchdown. What you got, Jacquizz? So I think it's Snelling that really progresses forward, and he's shown in the past that he can handle a full workload. The Dolphins are decent against the run, but I see Snelling getting about 4 to 7 catches out of the backfield. As I said last week, I like to put a gamble player on my list. Last week was Brandon Jacobs. He did practically nothing. Thank you, Brandon. But he did score a touchdown from a yard out. This week it's Snelling. A few other running backs, D'Angelo Williams, that I love, Marshawn Lynch, and Frank Gore. Frank Gore needs a good bounce-back week after that atrocious game on Sunday night in Seattle. As far as a running back that I don't like, Doug Martin. I think you need to put Martin, really, not bench him. I mean, I understand the rule. You don't bench your studs, and I know most of y'all are freaking out right now. What? He's my first-round pick. I drafted him number 2, number 3, number 4 overall. I'm not saying bench him literally. Just don't expect much from him. Bill Belichick likes to take a star player out on the opposing offense. He's going to take Martin out of the game. He's going to make Josh Freeman throw the ball to beat them, which Josh Freeman's going to struggle. He's struggled all year. So don't expect much from Martin on Sunday. Unless you're in PPR leagues, as I mentioned, you have to bench all Saints running backs. Sproles is the only useful one that I see in PPR running backs. The Saints face off on Sunday in the Superdome against a stingy Cardinals defense that ranks 3rd against the run and is one of 10 defenses that have not allowed a rushing touchdown yet this season. As I said, Sproles in PPR, that's where I see him getting his points, off of his catches. Wide receivers that I really like this week. One of them is coming off a suspension, Josh Gordon, Cleveland Browns. I don't know how well it's going to be with Brian Hoyer at the quarterback, getting the nod at the quarterback position. Trent Richardson's now gone to Indianapolis. How well the running game is going to be and take pressure off of the passing game. But we all know that Gordon has that speed to get down field, get open, catch the ball. As I mentioned with Detroit running backs and Stafford, the Redskins D is really weak. I hope you understand that by now. If you're looking for a sleeper at the wide receiver position, give a look at Nate Burleson. Now, Burleson's a sneaky receiver, and I understand he's old. He's getting up there in age. but he has great hands. In 2 games this year, he's caught 13 of his 14 targets for a decent, not great, 123 yards. Doesn't have a touchdown yet, but I believe that changes come Sunday. A few more wide receivers I like are Mohamed Sanu of the Bengals, Brian Hartline of the, almost said Atlanta Falcons, Miami Dolphins, they're playing the Falcons, James Jones, and if Larry Fitzgerald doesn't play, again, Fitz owners, pay attention up to game time, see if he's playing. If he doesn't, Michael Floyd's going to have a decent game, might have a breakout game. Keep tabs if you own Floyd, too. A few wide receivers I just don't see producing as high as some people have them this week are Reggie Wayne, traveling out to San Fran. That defense is pretty mad from getting humiliated on Sunday night. They're licking their wounds. They're going to bounce back nicely. Brandon Marshall, Ike Taylor shut down A.J. Green. He can shut down Brandon Marshall, I believe, and Julian Edelman, who I think Revis will be covering for majority of the game. Tight ends worth a start this week are Greg Olsen of the Panthers, Owen Daniels, and Jermaine Gresham. Tight ends that are worth a reach to start this week that you should have on your team for future weeks for a bye week option. Garrett Graham, Owen Daniels' backup in Houston. He has a touchdown in each of the first 2 games, and Garrett did catch more passes in week number 2 than Owen. Owen's been battling an ankle injury, I believe, or some type of leg injury. So I really think Garrett Graham has good chemistry with Matt Schaub, and they seem to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets. Another one is Jordan Reed of the Redskins. Fred Davis has just pretty much fallen off the map. He got benched last week due to multiple blown assignments, and it just seems like RG3 and Jordan Reed's chemistry is slowly but surely progressing every week. To wrap it all up, defenses for the week that I think deserve a start. The Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns, the New England Patriots. As I said, they're going to take Martin out. They're going to make Freeman throw it, and I think Freeman will struggle. And the New Orleans Saints. That does it for week number 3. I hope everybody is 2-0, at least 1-1, hopefully. Hopefully nobody's 0-2, as you got some digging to get out of now. I'll see you right back here next week for week number 4. Good luck to everybody in week number 3. Thank you for the continued support, as always. I'm here to answer any fantasy football questions, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may be. See y'all back here next week. Good luck in week 3.